Okay, Jim?
Healthcare. Healthcare is a budget buster for most local towns and most businesses really now. The state has the Group Insurance Commission, which today the governor extended the deadline for towns to participate in that to December 1st, I believe. But that still doesn't solve the problem of the fact that the participation has been so low because of the fact that unions are not mandated to go along with it. Do you believe that the legislature, which could mandate unions to do so, should do that? Dan?
I do, Jim, and frankly, I was in the governor's office when that bill was being crafted. My former boss, Carrie Healy, had a lot to do with that legislation, with pushing it, with crafting it. And that legislation, as it was built by a bipartisan coalition and frankly, a private-public sector coalition, did not have a union veto. It's not that unions aren't forced to go along. They have an absolute veto. If a town says they want to join the GIC, if they identify cost savings, the GIC, the General Insurance Commission, the state's pool, municipal unions have an absolute veto. And actually there was a story this week about Quincy, which just joined, but at a high price, which shows another wrinkle to this issue. Quincy had to reopening bargaining with its unions. So to get their sign-off for joining the GIC, they had to increase salaries and other benefits, which almost negates the savings to the town of joining the GIC. So it's an unworkable system right now, and absolutely, I would support changing that. It's how it was originally set up.
Carolyn, yeah. Same question.
Sure. And this question has come up before, and I believe strongly, and even more strongly, it goes back to the question you asked about, changing positions. I believe more strongly, I guess, in this GIC option now than I did before. Clearly, we need to free up some of those funds locally for use in other areas like education. I believe that the unions, quite frankly, have a greater incentive now, given our current economic situation. The more money that's spent on healthcare, it means the less money that's able to be spent on jobs. So I think this provides an opportunity to be more aggressive with the unions and move them into the GIC plan. I would certainly think that we could do that without taking the step of actually mandating that. But if necessary, I think we do need to take that move.
There's some common ground. Michelle, you're up.
Okay, this question was originally written prior to the governor's announcements tonight, so we'll have to tweak it a bit. But in considering other solutions to solve the budget crisis, the state's budget crisis, and you said you thought he may have to make additional cuts further down the road, one proposal said to be under consideration includes the reduction of the number of state troopers and paying them at a lower rate. And it was also mentioned the possible elimination of the law, which gives raises of up to 25% to officers with college degrees. So the question is, would you be for or against this measure?
Carolyn, you're up first.
That was the first I'd heard of these. I hadn't had the chance to hear these before and haven't had a whole lot of time to think about it. I think that we're going to have to share, quite frankly, across the board cuts, and I would certainly be open to discussing those. I can't say here tonight that I would be in favor of them, but I think nothing has to be taken off the table at this point. We need to do things differently.
Dan, same question.
The educational premium program that you're talking about is something that has come up a few times in the last, since I've been involved in state government, and that was actually on the block, as it were, in the beginning of the Patrick administration. It was reinstated. That's the kind of program, to my mind, that conceptually it's a very good thing, encouraging troopers to get an advanced degree in an area of study that is pertinent to their duties. Makes sense. Whether a 25% premium on their pay makes sense in these times, I don't know what the numbers are, but that strikes me as probably it doesn't. But I also know from having seen analyses of that program that there's all sorts of tightening that could be done to that program, such that, my understanding is there are people who get degrees in things that have nothing to do with their work as state troopers, very easy degrees to get, and things like that we ought to tighten down and maybe look at eliminating the program if it doesn't have benefits on the other end.
Okay. Mr. Kleinkopf.
All right. Are we on time?
We're doing well. We're doing well.
Okay, very
We've got
good.
one more question round here before we allow the candidates to question each other.
Very good. This question has to do with the gas tax. Basically, what is your position on the gas tax and why? And if you support the gas tax, do you see it as a substitute for raising tolls on the Mass Pike or in addition to increased tolls? If you support neither, where will the money come from to support our road infrastructure, which a recent report said is in terrible shape and will cost billions in the next 20 years to repair? The money's got to come from somewhere. We should also mention that the state gas tax is 21 cents, was last increased in 1991, and that I think we've all heard locally that now that gas is going down, Massachusetts is like 18 cents lower than the national average. I know that it's about 24 cents more in New York because of the tax, and I think Connecticut too. Most other states have a much higher gas tax. With that in mind, and if you need me to repeat any of this, I'd be happy to.
Does he have a time limit on?
There's a lot to it. Why don't we
These guys
start?
belong to a union, and we have to all honor that. I'm just joking, all right?
Hey. So first of all, what is your position on the proposed state's gas tax, and why, if you support it? Well, why don't we start there? As long as we've got some time, let's break it down.
Are we going to do this in chunks?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
we'll end
We
up
are.
circling back around here.
All right. I got to apologize. My 11-month-old brought a
to
frog
take a
home
break,
from
that's fine.
daycare and put it in my throat. But we've talked about this, Jim. I am absolutely categorically opposed to a hike in the state's gas tax. Frankly, even the governor has said a gas tax hike is, for now, off the table. He recognizes, I assume, that during the current economic climate, the last thing we ought to be doing is piling more taxes and expenses on our citizens. So I absolutely categorically oppose an increase in the gas tax. It doesn't matter if it's the only tax in the state that hasn't gone up since 1991. Great, fantastic. The rest have gone up quite considerably since that time. I don't think that's an argument for raising it, although it's the first thing that any advocate says when they talk about it. I'm sorry, I forgot what point of your question we ended for this first chunk.
Let's stop there, all right, and then we'll circle back around, because you had an infrastructure funding question tied to that.
Correct.
Okay.
But let's see what Carolyn says about the gas tax. Do you support it, and why?
Sure. And this question has been discussed since the last time we met on this issue. I have said, first of all, let me say that I do agree with my opponent that this is a very tough time to be, discussing any kind of increases given the economic situation and the uncertainty that we all face. That said, one of the better instances of government that I've seen is the Transportation Finance Commission report that was issued back in 2007, which laid out the challenges that we face with funding our transportation infrastructure and also the terrible conditions of our roads and bridges. And I think without being alarmist, we don't have to look any further than Minnesota to see a very real impact on very real people with a failure to fund our infrastructure appropriately. So what I have said, the Transportation Finance Commission report suggested an increase in the gas tax as a possible solution along with a number of other recommendations. I will not at this point write any recommendations off the table, especially when it comes to an issue of public safety. I will certainly keep in mind the very difficult financial situation that we are in, however, and be judicious about that.